Testing 1, 2, 3. Morning, Kishan. Morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. Today is the 22nd of August. Had to check then. 22nd of August, it's Friday, it's 11 a.m. Central European, it's 9 a.m. UTC, wherever you are around the world. I hope you all are preparing to have a great weekend, like myself. Now then, we've got a lot to talk about today. We haven't streamed the morning stream since Tuesday, because we streamed on Wednesday night for the Wolf Swap quiz. And I have I have Thursdays where I just basically recover from a very long day. So we are back and we have a lot to talk about. And I am going to have a rant. Not now, but you'll know it when you see it. I'm going to have a rant today. And I think it's a deserved rant. So hold on to your seats later on. Now, we're going to try and mix things up a bit today. We've got a lot of X-Files, lots of talking points. The biggest one, of course, is Powell is going to speak today. But that's at 10 a.m., whatever time he is. Trump is speaking 2 hours later. Okay. Now, I know Kishan, the degen out there, he likes to long 50x, short 50x on Bitcoin. Today of all days, don't. Okay. Because we don't know what's going to happen. Okay. It's like being in kindergarten. Okay. And Chairman Powell has got the fire engine and Trump has got the police car. But Trump wants the fire engine and Powell doesn't want to give him fire engine. Trump is probably going to run after Powell and hit him in the head with a police car and make him cry and try and steal his fire engine. Okay? Because that's the level of politics we've got today, folks. That is pretty much it. But we are going to talk about normal things as well. We're going to talk about Jupiter. We're going to talk about Aptos and Aave. Yes. We're going to talk about Toncoin. You're thinking to yourself, all you ever do is talk about Bitcoin. But today, we are going to throw in some XRP, of course, and I'm going to throw in my rant, which you're not going to know unless you read the menu. We're also going to talk about odds of a rate cut at the beginning of the show, and I might bring up the Bitcoin chart, because a lot of people out there worried. I don't know why you're worried. I really don't. I don't know why anyone's worried at this moment in time. We're in a bull run. We have corrections in a bull run. If you're an OG, I've been telling you this since January, that we are going to have correction. And I believe Cryptos R Us this week brought up a chart, really good chart by the way, which highlights what I was talking about. 6 to 7, 30% dips during the bull run. 6 to 7, not 67. We've had 6. And I said we would get 6 to 7, and I think the 7th one is upon us. I think the reckoning is, and I think it's now in the end of September. So today could be the day we come down. Yes, happen over the weekend, could happen next week. And coming down doesn't mean going to $42,000. It means maybe hitting the 90s, 96 or 94,000, I think I've said. We'll have a look in a minute. So don't panic. Okay, you're on a roller coaster. This is the bit you don't like. Okay, when you get to the bit you do like, you will know about it. And then one last thing to say is Mew is next Wednesday. Metwex Wednesday night, we're going to be doing the Mew quiz, and this is just going to be a pure quiz. There are a few massive updates on Mew, which we will cram into the beginning of the show, but that's going to be a 30-question quiz. Okay. Now, a few good mornings and the poll of the day. The poll of the day: did you buy Easy, whatever it's called? Luckily, 100% of people have said no, they haven't bought Yeezy. Okay. Kishan is in chat. Danny is in chat. Good morning. I hope you are well. And a few people. Welcome. Don't forget to subscribe. I suppose we should get on with the show, shouldn't we? That's enough of an introduction. Let's go and have a look at the price of Bitcoin. That's what we're all here about. Now, I did delete a tweet that I was going to put out yesterday because I thought it was mean. Not mean, just a little bit mean. And the reason that I deleted it was that not everybody is in the same situation as maybe some of you and I. And the tweet basically said, there we go. The tweet basically said, I'm not worried about Bitcoin at 120 or 110 or $100,000. I'm not worried because my Bitcoin was bought at $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 and $15,000 and $20,000. So for me, when I see a Bitcoin blip of that magnitude, it doesn't really affect me, because I'm already 30x up, roughly. So I kind of understand where, you know, a lot of people may have bought 100,000 and they think that they're going to panic. But the tweet wasn't just about me doing that. The tweet was also about the fact that at some point in the future, when we hit $1 million for Bitcoin, hopefully we do that in 10 years' time, you can look back and say, well, I don't really care if it's 1.1 or 1.05 or 995,000 because I bought it at 120,000. It's not a case of me laughing at people that have bought it 100,000. It's just trying to put things in perspective. And the perspective is, if you hold Bitcoin long enough, you will not lose money. That is it. Okay, it wasn't a jibe, but I didn't put it out. I didn't put it live because I thought it could be misconstrued, and I was too busy having a go at a certain exchange for listing Kanye West coin, to be perfectly honest, yesterday. And some of the reasons they defended that coin are laughable. Now, you will see, you're probably going to know what my rant is going to be about, given that you can see why Y is a rug pull on the screen, and you can see it's on the menu. So you're going to pretty much know what I'm going to talk about. And one other thing about our number of fans, we're at 199,100 followers on Binance. If we couple everything that we have on Binance together, we're at 205,000 followers on Binance. Okay. Now, that number hasn't been updated. We're at 240,000 now. So we have 40,000 people following us on YouTube and X and a few other places. So I'm pretty impressed with the progress so far. And I wanted to try and get to 250,000 by the end of the year. I don't think we're going to do it, but it was a good target. Now then, Bitcoin, $113,000, down 5% on the week. Look at Ethereum, $4,321. Again, holding its ground. XRP at 286. Somebody asked in chat what should be buying XRP at. I think I said, what was it, 250 and 270, 275 maybe? We're in that ballpark. All of these numbers are either going to be incredibly high or incredibly low this time on Monday, because of the fireworks that's going to happen and the chances of the rate cut we're going to talk about in a minute. But today's not a day for trading, okay? Today's the day you get your online shopping delivered and you have a cup of tea and a biscuit and watch your countdown. That's what you do today. You don't go around longing or shorting this market, because you're just going to get absolutely smashed today, in my personal opinion. Binance is doing decent. Solana is also doing decent. Cardano's heading back home to 80 cents. It's 85 cents. Hype is at $42. Again, I'm going to keep updating my price targets. I said $25 to $30 was a good price to get it. Now I would say $30 to $35 would be a good price for Hyperliquid. I don't hold any, and I'm not going to hold any, but I know a lot of people are looking at that coin and thinking that that's going to be a move. It's lost more than anything else around it, which means potentially it has also the chance to go down further. And I think $30 to $35 is a good price to get into Hype if you like that kind of thing. And then a few more things. I don't know. This has been like this now for years. Why do you think CoinMarketCap has never fixed this? Look at that. It always happens that there's a gap, and then they fix it, and then the gap happens again. It's crazy. Gainers then, OKB is at $220. Zcash, sorry, is at $42. I did say, by the way, to take profits on OKB, and that was at one is at $185. I know it's at $220, but it was listed at $3 or $4. You'd be a madman to hold a token that's done a 60x in a short space of time. OKBX is incredibly up. Why? They have absolutely burnt the hell out of their supply. I think they've deleted or burnt 80% of their supply, so of course it's going to be up there. Morpho is up. GT token is up, but that was back at $25 not long ago. Look at the volume. Whenever you look at these things, always have a quick peek-see at the volume. There's no volume, really, on Gate.io. There's no volume on KuCoin either. Okay, there is volume on Pendle and Zcash. Always look at that. I think the GT token and the KuCoin token, I think they have a lot of buybacks, and I think that generates a lot of the demand on the tokens. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a look at what's come crashing down around our ears, other than, of course, Easy's token. Pump.fun continues. It's hanging on dollars. Can't stand the coin. Monero is down. Chainlink is at $25. $25. I actually called that last Friday, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm holding my Chainlink for a long time yet. Again, $80 to $100. Trump is wrecked. Virtuals is down. That's another one of my picks. That's getting absolutely hammered. You win some, you lose some. Cardano is in the bottom there. I mean, that's pretty much it. Let's go and have a look at some X-Files. Let's get in with the show. Remember, if you are in chat, ask questions, say hello, tell me if you're bullish or bearish, let me know what you're planning, and I will try and answer you best I can. That's what we're here for. Jan says September is Dumptember. Yeah, probably. I'd say we're going to have retracements between and October, certainly. Danny is in chat. Good morning, Danny. I can't see chat. That's the problem. My chat's broken. Never mind. Right. This is the best analogy I can think of to explain chasing the pumps. Okay? You buy the big coin on the left. And when you buy the big coin on the left, it moves to the right and shrinks. And the coin you sold moves to the left. This is exactly how a lot of people's trading strategies are. They will hold a coin, like Chainlink, $15, not moving. Then they'll go and buy another coin because they'll buy Hype at $48. And then Hype will go to $41 and Chainlink will go to $25. And then they'll sell Hype at $41 and buy Chainlink at $25. And then Chainlink will retrace and Hype will run back up. And this is exactly what people do in crypto. Stop trading your good coins because another coin is pumping. Okay? If you've got a coin that hasn't moved in 2 years, of course, jettison it. But don't buy into high RSI and a token that's got to its highest value in a long time. Would you buy BNB at $850 or $880? I certainly would not, because it's just broken all-time highs. Look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin got to $123,000. Was that the right time to buy Bitcoin? No. Ethereum got to $4,800. Was that the right time to buy Ethereum? No. You dollar cost average in. And had you been listening to me and dollar cost averaging in, you'd be buying all of these dips right now. And this is exactly what you do. Not you people watching personally, because you're all experts, but you as in the crypto community. You always chase the pump. And that is not the best way to do it. You look at people that analyze stock markets, what do? They look for the most value in stocks. That means the highest revenue, the highest profits, and the lowest share price. And what crypto degens do is they just go YOLO into the coin that's at the top of the 24-hour charts. Now, Elon Musk is doing this garbage, okay? We don't need this. We don't need this, okay? This is Annie, which is the Grok AI assistant, okay? It's fine having an assistant. I've tried to use the Grok thing. It's great. It's really good. It helps with lots of things. But this is not cricket, as we would say in England. This is not the right thing to do. I think I've got a few more of these that might be crypto related. It might be crypto related. But it's a Friday. We're supposed to enjoy ourselves. Not looking at AI girls. Go out and meet real girls. They do exist. Now then, I have completely forgotten what all of these X-Files are. I just want to let you know. This is a good one. Now, I've kind of coupled this together with the previous tweet, AI. 16 years ago, Satoshi Nakamoto nearly called Bitcoin. I don't think there is a world or a universe where Titcoin goes to $2 trillion. Okay? Now, showing you the actual message on here. They've registered Titcoin.org. Now, do you honestly think he would be sitting here today talking about cryptocurrency if they'd have gone with Titcoin? Because I don't. And I don't want to say it anymore, Tom, because in certain parts of the world, it doesn't mean a little furry bird. Something completely different, which is for a different channel you want to turn over. We're not going to be talking about that on here. Suffice to say, I don't think it should have been called Titcoin. Moving on. The Department of Justice says it will no longer target developers that create decentralized crypto platforms without criminal intent. There is, of course, is a reason for that, but I don't believe some of those platforms should exist. And I've said this many times. I don't believe we need a Turbo Cash. I don't believe we need privacy coins. And it's all well and good. There is an argument that governments can come after your crypto. I get that. I get that argument. But if you've got a self-custody wallet, if you've got a ledger, and you put your Bitcoin on it, they can't touch it. I don't think we need to go the extra step to create privacy coins. And this is the right thing to do, by the way. I think the people that should be prosecuted are certainly the people that try and use it for ill-gotten gains. Okay? Because anti-money laundering laws are in place for very good reasons. And you don't want the Wild West. And I think the sacrifice we make is privacy coins. Get rid of them. Willy Woo. Really important tweet, this one. We love counting assets twice. Bondholders own bundled mortgages, and the real estate guys tally up all the homes, ignoring the mortgages on them. Presto, more global wealth. Bitcoiners count the market cap, and it appears again in equities under master, etc. Now, this is a really interesting point, because I have been making this point for a long time. Real-world assets already exist, and the value of those real-world assets already exist. Bringing $1 trillion of real-world assets into Web3 does not create $1 trillion of new money. It doesn't. It's already there. You're bringing it online. But when we see all these wonderful headlines in the future, you know, real-world assets have hit $5 trillion. Yeah, it's already there. They're just transferring it over. It's like saying that I've got a bank account with $1,000 in it today. And then I use that statement. And then I transfer that $1,000 to another bank account. And I use today's and yesterday's bank statements to say I've got $2,000. No, you don't. Same $1,000. If we take a Rembrandt worth $50 million and we put it onto the blockchain, that $50 million only exists in one place, not $100 million. And this is a really important tweet to understand the actual, the way that you are sold crypto, the way that you are sold, the way that crypto works is a little bit disingenuous. When you see $1 billion of Tether being minted, or $1 billion of Circle being minted, that's $1 billion that already exists somewhere in the ecosystem, and it's just being transferred online. Same with treasury companies transferring their assets online. The only difference is that, of course, Bitcoin and Ethereum and things like that, they go up in value, so of course they're going to accrue value, but the money that comes in, so there should be a debit and a credit. So $1 trillion leaves bonds, and then $1 trillion appears in digital bonds. The bonds market is still, the net increase is zero. You've just moved it from one ledger to another. And that's why this is so important to understand. That a lot of things in life, if you go to the subprime mortgage in 2008 and you watch the, what was it called? Is it called The Big Short? If you've never watched The Big Short, hope it's called The Big Short, with Brad Pitt and a few other people. That's one of the greatest films to watch to understand the premise of the smoke and mirrors that banks use. They borrow, they lend, borrow, they lend, they borrow, they lend, they build up their books, they build up their books. Suddenly they're worth $1 trillion with $10 million in the bank. And that's just what they do. Now then, what's this about? Oh yeah, El Salvador's Education Minister Carla Trigueros celebrates the graduation of female students. The Bitcoin program, Bitcoin Country, is winning again. Within the next 3 years, you are going to get a series of new universities. UK, America, they should really lead the way because allegedly they have the best universities in the world, and they will be offering blockchain, Web3, Bitcoin courses. And I think this is what you need. You need to create a group of people that can work in blockchain. That's very, very important. Secondly, for those of you that don't know this, and maybe you're of an age where you can learn, Michael Saylor already has a Bitcoin university where you can get a degree for free from his university. And what he's working on now is to actually get those degrees certified. That degree is as good as anything you get. And it's free. If you want a free qualification in Web3, in crypto, in Bitcoin, Michael Saylor's Academy is 100% free. It's not like one of these crypto banter things where you've got to sign up, the first 999 people get in for free, all that garbage. No, he has decided to create, as best he can, an education platform where you can learn different modules about different crypto things, and it's fantastic. I've used it. I was trying to get the Oracle to go through it, but he's a little bit above that now, and it's great. But you're going to see more and more of this, and if your kids, or you're planning on having kids, they should be looking at this kind of education, because otherwise they're going to have degrees which are obsolete. So I'm very, very much for that. And finally, before we actually get into some real conversation, we have one more. I have no idea what this one more is. We have one more. Oh. Real world asset watch list. I have no idea what these are today. I don't know. Maybe I've kidnapped in my sleep. Swift is testing XRP and HBAR for blockchain-based cross-border payments to boost efficiency and interoperability. The future of global payments is being built right now. 3 things we talk about on this channel, do we not? Regulation, adoption, and interoperability. We need to give crypto air. That's the slogan. Adoption, interoperability, regulation. This is interoperability. The people out there said that we're going to get rid of banks have no idea what they're talking about. People out there that said that we are not going to need to do cross-border payments with the likes of Swift, using IBANs, all that kind of nonsense, they don't know what they're talking about. The banks aren't being replaced. Banks are being integrated. The banks have all the money, and they will make this work. You will be charged fees above and beyond what it actually costs HBAR and Ripple. Payments will get there faster. All good in the hood. And these things, again, these things take time. Okay? Yes, it's okay bringing some real-world assets online. That'll take 6 to 12 months. But actually changing a 500-year-old system to incorporate Web3, that's going to take a little bit longer, and that requires a little bit more of your patience. Now then, let's move on. And let's see what this is. I think this is the rate cut. Good morning, Tariq. I hope you are well. And yes, the top 20 tokens, top 20 wallets took $24 million. This is my rant today. And I am well within my rights to have this rant because I made a video 6 months ago which said this was going to happen. So we're going to have a good old rant about that in a short minute. First, I'm not going to be happy if we don't get a rate cut in September. And I am not alone. I think pretty much 70-80% of people, well, far more knowledgeable than me, all say that we need rate cut. But Powell and a few other people talking about tariffs, and we've seen that tariffs haven't had a major impact. Fed rate cut optimism for September continues to fade. Remember, this at one point was at 99%, and it has fallen. Prediction markets show waning belief in an interest rate cut the Federal Reserve in September. Economic uncertainty, including weak job reports, raises concerns that rate cuts may not improve short-term outlook. Crypto industry lowers expectations on the impact of rate cuts due to volatile economic climate. Yes. Now, we don't need to go into all of this, but what we will say is 10 a.m. today, about 6 hours, I think, from now, Chairman Powell is going to speak, and he's going to talk about the economy, talk about rate cut. Now, we've seen the Fed minutes. 2 people wanted to cut rates. I think the other 6 or 5 didn't. So it didn't happen. 1 resigned. We've already covered all of that. The most important thing now is what Powell says. Is he going to be hawkish or dovish? Is he going to keep this game of chicken up with Donald Trump? Okay? We're not going to cut rates until we've sorted out tariffs. We're not going to cut rates, got supply and demand under control. We're not going to cut rates because of X, Y, Z. We've seen inflation at 1.7%. Seen inflation at 1.9 and 2.1%. Powell wants it at 10%. Inflation has been there now since June. And there was one tiny wick, I think, middle to the end of July. Been below 2% now. June, July, August. 3 months. There is no universe where a rate cut is the wrong decision. 0.25% rate cut is all I think we do. And it is not about suddenly turning on the money printer and printing everything in Oblivion and Bitcoin going to $200,000. It's a signal to the market that rate cut down. Rates went up to suck inflation out of the economy because they printed so much money. So cutting by 0.25% is a signal to the market and nothing more. And that's what I believe they should do. You've got all these people. Trump wants them to cut 2%. Never going to happen. JP Morgan and a few others are saying we're going to have 1 to 2% cuts between now and the end of the year. I think that's a bit optimistic. I think if we got 0.75% cuts now and the end of the year, I think we should all be happy. Absolutely, we should. Now, the one thing I want to show you, and I'm going to try and speed this up a bit because I don't want to rant for too long, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. It is a Friday. We're going to get this done in an hour. Just bear with me. Now, hopefully the Oracle hasn't logged in and ruined all my charts and made them all white and blinded me again. Hopefully it's my chart. Now, I think this is my chart. My little lines appear. It's my chart. Come on, you can load. I've got faith in. There we go. Okay. Now. There we go. Look at that. Almost professional. Don't get this anywhere else, do you? Hey, right then. We have 2 moods in crypto. We are so rich. It's all over. And you will see my red line that I drew probably 1 week ago. Maybe even last Friday. Maybe even a week last Monday I drew this line. A lot of the time, I'm out by weeks. Yes. Not about me being 100% accurate. It's about sentiment I think is in the market and where we're going to go. Now, we are at the phase now of it's all over. Okay? The bull run's finished. The top is in. Simon Kelly is bound to ask me in chat, is it all over? Is the bull run finished? Okay? And you will see from my red line that I don't think so. Because we are in the channel that I talked about all those weeks ago. And I said quite clearly, when we get things like this, they can happen. They can also happen down here. And again, if I knew, I'd be a lot richer than I am. If the Oracle knew, I'd be a lot richer than I am. And so would KB, and so would Kishan. We'd all be so much richer if we knew for certain what was going to happen. These lines are kind of rails that you use to get up or down the step. Doesn't mean you can't slip, as we saw here. And we can slip down here. Okay, we can slip to the upside, we easily can slip to the downside. My little red line that comes down here, we could actually come as far down as 107,000. The bottom of this range now is 111,000. Okay, now let's put this into context. We're talking about $107,000 Bitcoin. At any point over here, You would have bitten my hand off for $107,000. But now, you're all thinking the bull run's over. You're all cancelling your Tesla orders. I mean, I know Tariq's ordered 5 and he's only cancelled the Litecoin. I know that. But recency bias. Recency bias. I'm like a stuck record. Look at where we've come from and look at where we're going to go. We are not rich here and we are not over here. This is not the time for the end of the bull run. Major global black swan events are going to have to happen to end this bull now. And we've got peace talks going on. Trump is calling for peace. Everyone's like, oh, he's such a good man, he wants peace. No, he wants trade. And war gets in the way of trade. And again, how many people have told you that? People call him the third coming of the Antichrist. Okay, well, clearly he's not that. He is about making money. Conflict gets in the way of making money. Get rid of conflict. You then have Nobel Peace Prize nominations going on. You also have more money for the American economy, which makes you look good. So it's all self-serving. Know that, because that's what he is. Self-serving. Look how great I am. So if he ends the conflict in Eastern Europe, which is looking very likely, then we're going to go up. The next one on the horizon is Taiwan, which again, I've told you about before. Taiwan could end this bull run. China move into Taiwan, this bull run will be finished. But we can't live our lives based on what ifs. It's never going to do very well. So we just have to ignore them and say, where does the natural flow of the market take us? And it takes us here to this line, which is about the end of November. Maybe it's the middle of November, maybe it's the beginning, maybe it's December. I don't care, but it's around that time. And then this line here, the next line along, this is where we're going to break to the upside. Why? Because we do that every October. Every October, we rip up. What do I say? Pack your bags by the end of September. Again, stuck record. So, am I panicking? No. Is it all over? No. Are we so rich yet? No. None of those things have come to pass. We're in a channel, and we're going to stay there. Maybe Powell comes out today and is hawkish, and it comes down. Maybe Trump comes out today and says, we're going to start the Bitcoin reserve, we're going to throw another $500 million into it, starting from Monday. You could see 96,000, bottom of this range here. You could see 104,000 today, and you could see 118,000 today. We don't know. But whatever happens between those two numbers, we're going to sit between those bars, in my opinion. So you don't need to worry. And I don't think you let anybody worry you. I keep seeing all these red faces on YouTube thumbnails with all these people, and there's flames behind them, and there's a Bitcoin melting, and it's over. Not over. You said it was over in May. You said it was over in April. You were wrong in April. You were wrong in May, and you're going to be wrong in August. Just stick to the plan. Now then, this is my rant. Morning, Rav. Now, this is my rant. Okay. On the 23rd of February, 2025, I made a video called Ye Crypto Token Kanye West Warning. And in here, and you can't quite read it, for some reason the captions weren't working on my screenshot. It says very, very small, very small that it's going to rug you. You're going to get rugged. Now, I made that video 6 months ago in February, which was after the January of Melania, after the January of Libra, after that guy with glasses that was bragging about having Melee in his pocket. I made that video telling you that this was going to be a rug pull. Everything was going to go to the wall. Don't buy this token. Now, can anybody out there explain to me why Crypto.com listed this token yesterday and why it's now down 75% when I can predict it 6 months before it happens, yet some clown in the approvals department approved it. Can somebody explain that? Because I can't. Everybody knows that this is a rug pull. This video, when it came out, it wasn't groundbreaking. It was saying what everybody else was saying. And they thought, you know what? Let's leave it 6 months. Look at the date today. What is it? The 22nd of August. Came out on the 21st of August. Almost 6 months to the day after I made that video. So it's likely to be 6 months, a week after the last one that happened, Libra. And then you've got these absolute clowns. Who's written this? Okay. Easy Money takes crypto Twitter by storm. The Yi-linked Solana meme coin spiked, then crashed below $1. There he is. So, this coin launched yesterday. It hit $3.16, hit $3 billion, and then collapsed below $1. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound like Trump, Melania, Libra? Does that sound like every other rug pull token that ever appeared on Solana? Yes, it does. Okay. Are the same people involved making the same amount of money that they've made in the past? Yes, they are. Okay. There is a set of rules when you're a financial business that you need to adhere to, and they're not all strict. You know, if this, then that rule. There are ones to do with negligence. Now, we're not going to talk about a specific chain here, sorry, a specific exchange here, because that's not what we're not here to bash a particular exchange. But what we are here to do is talk about, where is it gone? This. Okay, now let's hide that top side. Traders were wrecked. 56,000 wallets. 56,000 wallets went near this token. Okay, 5 wallets made $1 million plus out of 56,050 tokens. What is the rush to list these tokens? The rush is volume. Volume is making money out of you. So if an exchange lists a Melania or a Libra or a Yeezy token, and they do that straight away, they are thinking about the volume of revenue they make and not about you. I brought out our own rules here almost a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, and we said we will not review a token the first 72 hours of its existence. That was rule number 1. Rule number 2, if a project is live on, for example, Solana or Kronos Chain, we will not review it for 2 whole weeks. Okay? There are exceptions, of course. We're talking about tokens, we're not talking about projects like DEXs or anything like that. We're talking about coins. Now, we don't do that because we're special snowflakes. We do that because I guarantee you that every rug pull worth its salt in the last 2 years has taken 72 hours to pump and crash. 3 days, that's all it takes. So ask yourself a question. If I do that and there's 3 of us, why is a company with 100 million plus users listing these tokens and thinking nothing of it? Because there's no recourse and they care about volume. And that goes for Binance as it goes for everybody else. They are listing coins without any due diligence, and it is negligence. Okay? And I don't even want to think how many people have lost money on centralized exchanges that listed this token yesterday, because it's an absolute disgrace. And you are the so-called family. You are the family. They'll give you a name. You know, they'll call, can't use real name, then they'll think I'm talking about them. They'll call you Crypto Fam. Our crypto family, our crypto community. If you're a crypto community or crypto family and they love you that much, why are they dumping on you? Because that's what these exchanges are doing. You cannot tell me that nobody went to look at Melania, Libra, Kanye West. You can't tell me nobody went to look at that before it went live and went, you know what? He's got 90% of the supply. He could just easily dump on everybody as soon as the token goes up to a certain value. But no, because they don't care about you. They don't care about you, because if they did, they wouldn't list this garbage. And I thought we were past this in January. And clearly, the people out there that have bought this token, the 56,000 people who bought it and didn't make any money, they've not learnt. People who've bought this on exchanges haven't learnt. And the people making the money, $24 million, I think the top few made, they just walk into the bank, cash it again. And you know what they'll do? They'll wait for Christmas. They'll wait till December. And then you know what they'll do? They'll launch another coin. And these same SOPs will fall for it time and time again. And the exchanges will list those coins time and time again. And they don't care because they want the volume. They get $50 million worth of volume on the spread that they get. They may have made $1 million out of that. $500,000, $1 million, depending on what it might be. Because these people buying are not buying through the exchange itself. They're buying through apps where the spread is higher. So if you take anything away from watching me, you never buy anything associated with a name, a celebrity, with a footballer or a sports star, with a musician. You never touch those coins, because if I can tell you 6 months in advance that that's going to rug pull and those exchanges list those coins, then you are no better than them for buying that coin, because the more you buy it, the more they'll list it, and the more this stupid cycle of ripping people off will continue. Now, it's not a little insane. It's just what happens. And again, like I said, XRP moonshot depends on one key chart condition. Now again, let's get back to some serious news. Had my rant. Try to avoid saying names, but don't get kicked off anywhere. An XRP chart fractal whale flows hint at a short-term dip before a possible moonshot breakout. New all-time highs. Again, this is, I think, the setup for a lot of coins. We've had a good run. Lots of coins have moved up to really good prices. But I think we have to bear in mind that if Bitcoin does come down, the alts are going to go lower, I think. XRP is, what, $2.80? With a potential rally up towards $4.35 to $4.85. My target is $5 to $7 for XRP at the end of this bull run. I think if we get a really, really good ETF in October, that could go even higher. But it won't stay at that price. Whale flows remain negative, hinting at near short-term corrections, 265 to 233. Not far off what I was saying, which is 250 and 275. So in that kind of ballpark, I think it's a good price to get XRP. Don't hold any XRP. I think it's certainly going to break $5 at a touch. If we have a really bad bull run, it might go to the prices mentioned here, but I don't think we're going to have a bad bull run at the end. I think we're going to see institutions flowing in. We've talked before about having an ETF portfolio. Again, we have our own portfolio, but there are multiple ways to have your own portfolio, and one of the ones I've said before on here, ETF portfolio. So you buy the tokens that are in ETFs, and that's your portfolio. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, they're your first four. Then you throw in the likes of Crow, because that's going to be part of the blue chip ETF from Trump Social called. Then you throw in HBAR, you might throw in Link, you might throw in Litecoin. At this point, it doesn't matter about the project. It matters about whether it's got an ETF, because that passive demand is going to drive a lot of these coins higher. Not substantially higher, but higher in the future. An ETF portfolio is not a bad idea. The same way as the ISO 20022 portfolio isn't a bad idea either. There's more than one way to skin this cat. A lot of things will rise with the tide. So XRP, to hit this fractal. I'm not a big fan of stuff like this. I know the Oracle, I know KB like this a lot more than I do. Sometimes I look at fractals and think, how does the market cap allow that to happen when people say we're going to go to $689 for XRP? That's going to give it a trillion dollar market cap, and I just don't see that happening. So, I think that we can certainly break the 366 all-time high. I think we can certainly go to the $5 to $7 range. In Q4, it will get crazy. And I refer you to the Bitcoin chart I brought up before, which says, we are so rich. And that's the period we're going to be in for about 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, maybe even 8 weeks, who knows. But you're going to feel like Warren Buffett, you're going to feel on top of the world. That's when you take your profit. When you think you are unbreakable, that's when you start to take your profit. When you think it's just going up, that's when you take your profits. There is no point in buying XRP at $2.70 today, watch it go to $6 and not sell, and then watch it come down to $1.50 in the bear market, because you'll be down 40%. Whatever it is. Don't do that. Take profits. The best way to take profits is to dollar cost average out, same way you dollar cost average in. So if you're buying, I don't know, $100 a week of XRP, and you end up with 1,000 XRP, by the end of the bull run, or by the middle of the bull run, you should be selling 10% a week. For example, 20% a week, 15% a week, whatever that number is, I don't care. You should start taking profit. Simple as that. I did make a comment about Arthur Hayes the other day. Well, which Arthur Hayes was the guy who sold all of his Ethereum, that it wasn't going to go any higher. And then it kept on going, and he FOMO'd in to Ethereum at 4,600, 4,700. FOMO'd back in, having lost Ethereum purchase. And now I think Ethereum is below his original sale price. So what does that tell you about these so-called experts? Well, they are so-called experts. Had he just held, like we say, just keep holding. Keep holding and dollar cost averaging in till we get to the period of the cycle where, additionally, we top and then you start to take profits. Now, we can be wrong on that top. Be absolutely wrong. It could be May, could be March, could be January. We could be wrong about everything, but we're very unlikely to see it early, given the macro environment. Just be careful when you see experts telling you things. They get it wrong on a far higher scale than you do. Now, Chainlink eyes $34 as derivatives-driven rally picks up pace. Again, I'm very wary of these headlines because I don't think a lot of these coins are going to do a lot of this, given that I think we might have a really hectic week ahead of us. Chainlink price surged over 7% weekly, while most altcoins remained flat, showing independent strength. Now, they did change a lot of stuff around and announced a lot of things. So basically, they're taking a percentage of their revenue and using it to basically buy back Link. And that's kind of creating this big buy pressure. There isn't that many Chainlink Link tokens out there, and they don't really have massive inflation. They do have staking, but it's always closed. So there's a lot of positivity around the tokenomics of Chainlink. And I know I talk about token and project as separate things, but I think in the case of Chainlink, I think $25 is a fair price right now. I don't know whether $34 is on the cards unless everything moves. I think tied to Bitcoin like everything else. I'm always wary about including these price predictions, and now I'd rather include them be the next step up for Chainlink. What I mean is, probably going to have a correction between now and September. Let's say we get to the end of September and things start to recover. I'd want to see Chainlink back at $25 and then back at $34. That's where I want to see it. And I think a lot of these targets, the recency bias is, you think, well, it's gone from 18 to 25. It's going to go from 25 to 34. I just don't think it's going to work that way. I think we've seen the $25 pump because of the news we've already had. So if I was in Chainlink, I was big in Chainlink, I'd be taking profits about now. So the price stood out from the rest of the market. While most tokens struggled, Link gained 5%. It's moved up more than 130% in the past year, 7% in the past week. Even when Bitcoin and Ethereum were flat, Chainlink remained strong. Again, there's a lot of really good news coming out about Chainlink. And I'm happy, okay? I'm happy because I am all about conviction. and belief in projects. And I've believed in Chainlink since I understood it. And I didn't understand it for quite a few years. I didn't see the value in it. And then it dawned on me that it's like the glue that binds everything together. And then I realized I didn't own enough Chainlink. And that's the kind of attitude you have about Bitcoin as well. You should always think, I don't own enough Bitcoin. You should aim to hold a Bitcoin. And if you can't, 0.101, get some Bitcoin. Chainlink for me is going to be a standout. Now, at $25, I've got a target of $80 to $100 for the top. So you're only going to 3x. Again, I've said this before. You can't come to crypto in September of the end of the bull run and expect to make a 20x out of some of these coins. Just can't do it. So temper your expectations. Be happy with a 3x from here on out. And if you're a little bit above or you're a little bit below, at least you've got a benchmark for it. Chainlink at $75, certainly a sell for me. Chainlink at $65, probably from where we've come from. Just play it by ear, but also have a plan. And if you're looking like your plan isn't going to happen, so let's say I say 80 to 100 and we're sitting at 60 for a while and the RSI is overbought and it looks like Bitcoin's going to cool off, it looks like everything's going to cool off, certainly look to take some profits at $60. Now, Jupiter Lend readies for public beta launch this week. This is a big thing. Now, I put my foot in because I was given a chart to put out on Maple Finance's Stirrup USDC and Jupiter Lend, and I put it out yesterday and had to take it down because the announcement went out. But 5 or 6 lines below the announcement, the line that said "Don't do anything until Jupiter Lend announces it," which was buried in the text of other ambassadors talking about it. So something big is Jupiter Lend with Stirrup USDC. That's all I can say. And if you saw the tweet, great. If you didn't, I can't talk about it. But this is going to be big. There is a talk and a chatter going to merge JLP with Jupe tokens. There is chatter that you're going to be able to borrow USDC against your Jupe. Now, all of that is what I would call medium to high level understanding. So you need to get your head around how this works. Your assets are collateral. For your Solana, your Jupe is collateral, and it might be worth, say, $2,000. They might let you have $1,000 lend. You can then put into Stirrup USD, for example, and 12%. You might be paying 2% interest, Jupiter, and making 12% interest off the Stirrup USD. And then 6 months down the line, you think, well, I don't want to do it, or I need my Jupe back. Put back in what you took out, your loan, with interest. Get your Jupe back. And you've got 9, 10%, have 5% profit maybe over that period of time. It's not something I recommend to beginners. If you're new to crypto, this is difficult and not recommended. If you're DGen and you've been in DeFi for a while, then this is, of course, something you probably understand anyway. But Jupiter Lend is going to be a big thing. And again, I have massive conviction in this. I have massive conviction in Jupiter. The token price, for me, does not reflect the value of Jupiter. The token, the project, at this moment in time, in my opinion, are separate. And unlike Chainlink, which are fair value, I think Jupiter at this moment in time should be $1, $1.30. It should certainly be in that range, because the value of the project is so much higher. Now, this is a positive one. Let me just check the time. I won't make sure I don't overrun. 11:55. So we've got 5 minutes left. Let me just cash grab before summer lull. I haven't looked at Talos in a year. Very long time. I think 1% haven't bought Easy, which is good to hear. Good to hear. It was a rug pull. Right then, last couple of things. 70 billion DeFi protocol Aave goes live on Aptos in ecosystem expansion. Aave enters a blockchain with 2 competitors, with only one top 5 Aptos protocols having a TVL of 1 billion or more. Again, interoperability. What we want to see in an ideal world is we want to be able to go any chain and use our favorite platform. So, if you like Aave, why are you limited to the blockchains that you can use Aave on? You're limited because there's multiple blockchains. Interoperability hasn't begun properly. Still got this disbursement of all these different chains that haven't been fully connected up. If you look at Syrup USDC, it's now on 2 different blockchains. It's going to be on Base probably quite soon. That's 3 different blockchains. Soon it will be like USDC and on the majority of blockchain. Aave needs the same thing. Jupiter, same thing. WolfSwap is already on 6 different blockchains. So this comes about from which blockchains are going to drive revenue through our business. What platforms, what blockchains are going to make Aave the most money? And I think Aptos is certainly up there as a interesting to watch blockchain. There's more than one. There's more than one blockchain to keep an eye on. Some of them just catch your eye. Name keeps popping up. Aptos is one of them. So I think this is a positive move for Aave. I think this is an incredibly positive move for Aptos to bring a Web3 household name to your blockchain. Always a coup. And one of the things that I did like as well, if we go back to another example, when Ondo Finance went from Ethereum to Solana, for me, that was the signal that TradFi recognizing Ethereum and Solana as the 2 chains to go to. That was a big one for me. And I think Aave going to Aptos is in that similar vein. I think that's a massive and I think it's going to bode well. And again, go and check out Aptos. One of the things that you'll learn, the more you're in crypto, the more you'll realize how little you know. That's the best way to describe it. Sometimes I watch people talking about their blockchain or their project, and I know absolutely nothing compared to these guys. But what you got to bear in mind is that's their project. They know it back to front, and they're talking to somebody who's researched their project. There are thousands of projects. You can't know everything. That's why I say you should have a portfolio of 6, 8, 10, 12 crypto assets that you keep an eye on, because you can't have 200 projects, 200 tokens in your portfolio and have any way of keeping on top of all 2 projects. It's impossible. You'd have to do it full time and then some. That's why I tell you to try and stick to a few. Keep it easier on you so you can keep track of them. What happens if Aptos CEO resigns tomorrow and they bring in somebody who's done 3 failed chains before and they kick Aave off, and you've got 200 projects to maintain? Your X feed is so full of stuff that you it, and then suddenly everything is down on Aptos 80%, and you don't know what's happened. Didn't keep date with it. Just keep on top of all the projects that you invested in. Now then, Verb Technology confirms 713 million ton stake after 558 private placement. I just have such a bad feeling in my stomach about these treasuries. His treasury has surpassed 780 million, comprising of 713 million Toncoin and cash worth 67 million. The milestone comes after this $500 million worth of private placement. Verb aims to accumulate 5% of Toncoin circulating supply. Institutional players dominate this. Again, now, I don't need to read any more about this. I'm going to go off this now, go full screen, because it's the end of the show and I'm just very, very worried we're going to run out of time. Now, I am of the belief that treasuries are going to be the black swans of 2026 and 2027. Now, not the Bitcoin treasuries, clearly. Maybe not even the Ethereum treasuries. Sui treasuries, Con treasuries, Say treasuries, maybe not BNB either. But I think anything probably, I'd say between 10 and 50 on the coins. They are highly volatile assets, and your treasury should be your company's wealth. And you're putting it into TON, SUI, and not Bitcoin, and not Ethereum. And you're doing it in a bull run. And that bull run is going to come to an end, most likely next year. So let's say you buy TON coin at $4, and you've got your $700 million worth of TON, and you're all happy, and everyone's drinking champagne and toasting each other. And then suddenly TON coin goes to $2. You've wiped $350 million off your bottom line. Your investors are not going to be happy. I think, not all treasuries, of course, I think there's going to be cascading liquidations of treasuries in some chains at some point in the future. And maybe TON, maybe SUI, maybe SEI. What I mean by that is some treasuries are actually borrowing money to buy these coins. And they're doing it in a bull run. They didn't do it in the bear market. They didn't do it when TON was 50 cents, 30 cents. They didn't do it when SUI was 50 cents. They're doing it when these coins are $4 or $5. They've already moved up 10x. And we're going to hit a bear market and probably lose 70 to 90% of the value of all of these tokens. And I think it's terribly irresponsible. And if it was me, and if I was an advisor, I would have Bitcoin 80%, Ethereum 20%. That would be it. I wouldn't touch any other chain. I wouldn't touch Solana, XRP, Cardano. I wouldn't do it. Their market caps are not high enough to survive the markdown. Now, Ethereum, let's say Ethereum goes to $7,000 for argument's sake in this bull run. There's no reason it can't go to $3,500 in the bear market. Bitcoin goes to $180,000. I'd say Bitcoin could come down to $110,000. Okay, they're 40, 50% markdowns. If Bitcoin comes down 40%, you're going to be looking at a $1 SUI. All of those treasuries that have borrowed are going to be seriously underwater, and they're going to be liquidated, and that's going to cause a cascade, and it's going to kill the market. Not Bitcoin and Ethereum, but kill their market. Anyway, 12:03, time to go. I've got 3 videos coming out today. One on Orbi Network, one on... actually, no, I've got 4. I've launched a DAO. I've made a video about that. That's going to go on Binance and X. Made a video about Orbi, made a video about Delphi, which we're running a competition on at the minute, and a video about Wolfswap's Amplify. So 4 videos I have recorded this morning. While you lot were asleep, I was working. Okay? This pretty face. Okay? You don't get this pretty face from sleeping. Anyway, you're all lovely people. I'm going to go. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Follow me on X. Follow us on X. Follow us on YouTube. Follow us on Binance. And then you won't miss anything. And don't forget, we have the giveaway Telegram group. Crypto Warehouse giveaways. We're going to be giving away codes every single week. We're giving away money every single week in our Telegram group. Not a scam. And it's got 36,000 people in it. I think we've got 600 people in there right now. Make sure to join that as well. Anyway, take care. You are wonderful. I am Mike. See you on Monday. Bye-bye.